All right, tonight's brief Hannity history lesson. The current DOJ rules governing the report's release. By the way, the Attorney General has full control. He decides, nobody else. But they were widely backed by the Democrats. Remember, 2 decades ago after the Starr report was released, and what the Democrats wanted was designed to make the special counsel more accountable to the public. How ironic, the same people that wanted to limit the release following Starr's findings are now pushing to get the full report. No redactions. And Democratic stunts like this don't stop there, as they're now taking steps towards, get this, issuing subpoenas for Mueller's report. And, by the way, they want grand jury interviews and material, which would be illegal last time I checked. Joining us for the very latest, House Freedom Caucus Chairman Mark Meadows, the author of an introductory explainer to the Mueller report. Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz is back with us. All right, let me start with you, Professor. Last time I checked, releasing, somebody's calling for one of you, releasing grand jury materials. Oh, that would be Professor Dershowitz. Hello, this is Sean Hannity. Professor Dershowitz's line. Can I help you? Before releasing grand jury, but it's illegal, correct? And redactions for sources and methods and maybe people who are innocent in all of this, whose names are mentioned, that would be normal, although Barr doesn't have to reveal a thing, does he?
No, there's nothing in the regulations that require him to reveal anything, and the best test is the shoe on the other foot test. When we go back to Comey's statement, if Comey had said, we're just not going to indict Hillary Clinton on the emails, and the Republicans said, wait a minute, we heard you have a report that says she was extremely careless, we want you to release that, the Democrats would have jumped up and down and say, no, 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 prosecutors don't say anything negative about people they haven't indicted. All they're supposed to do is announce no indictment. Well, suddenly everything has changed, and it's the Democrats who want to know why there wasn't charges. They want to know what the split was between those who wanted to charge and not charge an obstruction of justice. The law doesn't authorize that to be released. If the Attorney General wants to do it, that's within his discretion. But no court should order the Attorney General in the executive branch to release grand jury material and other material to the legislative branch, certainly without the approval of the court. So we're seeing rampant hypocrisy, and we've seen it on both sides. If the shoe were on the other foot, I think we'd see Republicans calling for the release of material of the Democrats.
Yeah. And, you know, yeah. I would agree with Trey Gowdy. I don't think they should release any of it, Congressman Meadows. It was definitive on collusion. If collusion is not a crime, and, you know, okay, so the Attorney General and even Rod Rosenstein agreed in very quick order, not based on any principle that whether or not or argument that you can indict a sitting president. On the merits, they said, no, this doesn't rise to any level of indictment. But grand jury materials, eliminating executive privilege, sources, methods, innocent people. Frankly, the Democrats said we shouldn't do it. I think maybe they're right in this case. Let's give them what they wanted.
Well, you know, it's amazing what a little bit of good news for President Trump will do to my Democrat colleagues. You have Adam Schiff, Chairman Schiff, who, as you pointed out, was saying, no, we can't release anything that's classified. We can't afford to put our national security in jeopardy. But yet here he says, I don't care what's in there, release it all. You got Jerry Nadler, who switched and flip-flopped and said now he's going to subpoena this, even grand jury material. Listen, both sides look at this differently. But I can tell you right now, this is all about a narrative that the Democrats have had for 22 months that went away, that because their lies were not borne out in the Mueller report. And now what they're trying to do is change the narrative and pick and choose little parts so that they can go after the president once again.
Congressman, there are going to be criminal referrals issued this week by Chairman Nunes. There are going to be, the president I interviewed last week, there will be the FISA applications released. There will be 302s released. There will be Gang of 8 material. We've identified 5 buckets of information that will be extraordinarily damning. I know that to be the case based on all of my sources. Is that a good idea? Because I think you want transparency. I don't think they're going to like that when that comes out.
Well, they're not going to like that, Sean, but I think you've got the professor on tonight. It's all about civil liberties and making sure those civil liberties are protected. And if we cannot count on our government to protect those precious rights to privacy without, warrants and warrantless searches, then we've got a real problem. And so some of those criminal referrals are justified. Certainly some of the declassification that gets to the bottom of this is justified. At the same time, we do need to protect our national security interest.
100%, and sources of methods. Professor, let me ask you, though. I want to ask you this. They're going to call back now to re-interview. Many people, they don't make a lot of money. A good attorney in Washington, I'm imagining, is close to $1,000 an hour. What, for the same questions? For how many times must people be harassed like this? And why don't they just say, I plead the fifth. I stand by my prior testimony.
Well, they shouldn't plead the fifth because that, for many people, implies guilt. Remember that when the House Un-American Activities Committee and the Senate did that back in the McCarthy period, the courts finally put an end to it and said enough's enough. You can't just harass people and call people in order to expose them. You have to have a legitimate legislative purpose.
What if they misremember something from testimony a year and a half ago? They decide if it's perjury or lying to Congress.
There's no question. Perjury traps can be fallen into by innocent people. If an innocent person testifies truthfully and somebody else testifies the other way, and if prosecutors choose to believe the other person, you've fallen into a perjury trap, which is why the president was right not to testify to Mueller.
100%.
And why I think civil libertarians ought to be very concerned about exposing to criticism one-sided report which only saw one side of the story and didn't result in indictments. That's traditionally not done, and at least the courts have to be asked to come in and decide what can be shown and what can't that come from grand juries. Let's have the same civil liberties
maybe
for
Democrats might want to give up on the same investigation they had. The FBI investigation, 2 congressional investigations, no collusion, no obstruction. Give it up. Maybe solve problems and serve the people that put you there. Just an idea. Thank you both.
Hey, I'm in favor of that.